Calimero, the ever-cute, well-meaning and iconic chick from the aptly named series Calimero, has been a staple of Dutch kids television from the 1970s to perhaps even now. Well known for being the cutest hell chick who would get into trouble despite his best intentions, he would have adventures with his friends like Peter and Priscilla. I, as well as many other kids here in the Netherlands, grew up watching Calimero. I always found animation and anything moving around on a screen interesting as a kid, which is probably the reason I like animated media and video games so much today. As for Calimero, I caught an episode here and there on TV, but my fondest memories are of watching it off a VHS tape with my grandparents. I mostly remember finding a skating green bird the coolest thing ever. The reason I'm making this video is because all of a sudden I remember that Calimero existed and my autistic brain started obsessing over the subject. I feel like there's not as many people talking about Calimero as the series might deserve. I'll be rewatching at least some of the episodes present on the 9-disc collection I bought of Dutch Amazon, consisting of 900 minutes of content. So, obviously as a kid, I thought everything that was spoken Dutch was also of Dutch origin, which is not true for most cases, including Calimero. So where is Calimero from? Well, it turns out he was conceived between the pastas, pizzas and raviolis over in the boot-shaped Italy. Calimero turns out to be the brainchild of Antonio Tony Pagot. I don't know, I'm not even gonna try anymore. Tony Pagot. He named the chick after the church he was married in, San Calimero. He worked together with his brother Nino to design Calimero. Episodes of Calimero were originally produced in the brothers' studio, Pagot Film. However, contrary to what you might presume, Calimero wasn't the reason for opening the studio. In fact, the studio opened in 1938. And initially tried to turn out other kinds of films and later went into commercial television because the first thing they tried didn't really take off. It was in 1963 that Pagot thought of the idea of Calimero. He was initially a mascot for a cleaning product called Ava on Italy's state television. However, potential outside of being a commercial mascot was recognized, and so Calimero got his commercial-free series in 1970. They were a series of shorts, initially made by Pagot Film themselves, but much like another animated icon here in the Netherlands, Alfred Jodocus Kwak, it was outsourced to Japan later. To be exact, the 70 shorts were basically all produced by Pagot Film, while the 74 follow-up series was outsourced. Now, which Japanese animation studio worked on Calimero then? Well, Toei Animation. Yes, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon, Toei Animation. Because many of the episodes were originally produced in Japan, I can now tell people my favorite anime is Calimero. What's even more interesting is that there exists a series that aired on TV Tokyo from October 15th, 1992 to December 31st, 1993. It was fully made by Toei. I did find part of the original Japanese series preserved on the internet, alongside a complete collection of the Italian dubbed episodes. Toei released the episodes for VHS for that series too. I was able to find an expired auction for that on Yahoo Japan. It's a shame so much of it is lost. Toei also worked on the 74 series, but strictly as animators as far as I could see. The 74 series was produced by what is now TV Asahi, previously NET, and KNS. It was broadcasted between October 1974 to September 1975 on NET. The Japanese episodes have been partially preserved. The 70 shorts and Calimero's appearances in commercial television starting in 1963 were all produced by Pagot Film in Italy, so no influence from Toei there. The music to Calimero was composed by Yonosuke Yamamoto. I'm sorry if I butchered that. He's a Japanese composer. The Japanese 92 series intro was performed by Raspberry, and the ending theme was performed by Momoe Yamaguchi. Now, for an interesting factoid, would you believe me if I said And Calimero had such an impact that it spawned an entirely new term here in the Netherlands. If you know Calimero a little bit, you would know of his famous line, "It's an injustice, it is." Or its French and Italian counterparts, "C'est vraiment trop injuste." Or, "È un ingiustizia però." I can't do it. I can't do Italian. I'm sorry. Of course, the Netherlands got its version of the line as well. It went, "Zij zijn groot en ik is klein en dat is niet eerlijk. Oh nee." Maybe you've already noticed that the Dutch version of the line goes on for longer than any of the other. This is because it translates roughly to, "They are big and I is small and that is unfair. Oh no." Which adds the entire small big out of seemingly nothing when compared to the Italian and French versions. This line became widely known and synonymous with the character in the Netherlands. I mean, it's even on the cover of this collection. It spawned the term Het Calimerocomplex. Wikipedia describes it as follows. Het Calimerocomplex is het gevoel van personen, organisaties of landen structureel tekort gedaan of niet serieus genomen te worden vanwege hun geringe omvang. De term is afgeleid van Calimero, het hoofdpersonage van een tekenfilmserie. Een bekende uitspraak van dit zwarte kuikentje is: "Zij zijn groot en ik is klein en dat is niet eerlijk. Oh nee." De serie werd in Nederland vanaf 1972 uitgezonden voor de omroep Tros, die, omdat de omroep toen nog erg klein was, de uitspraak aanvankelijk als lijfspreuk gebruikte. But you wouldn't understand any of that unless you speak Dutch. I mean, I could have just told you I ate an entire jar of peanut butter and you would have believed I was talking about Calimero. So I'll summarize. The Calimero complex is the feeling that people, organizations, or nations are structurally discriminated and are not being taken seriously because of their small size. For example, Dutch broadcaster Tros was quite a small organization back when the 1974 series was broadcasted on their channel. They used the line as their motto as they were small and felt discriminated by the bigger organizations on Dutch television. The term was eventually accepted in the Netherlands' most prominent dictionary, the Vandalen. The episodes I'll be watching are what I think are episodes from the 74 series, which makes the opening an interesting one since there's multiple characters in there that weren't created until the 1992 series. In total, there are 78 episodes present in this collection. That's way more than the 1974 series' episode list of 45, so what am I watching exactly? Well, I was able to spot the Detective Calimero episode on one of the DVDs, as the translation from English to Dutch doesn't change the title in any way. With this, I could confirm that there are episodes of the 74 series present on this collection, but I wouldn't know if it's there in full. Another weird observation was the number of episodes correlating exactly to that of the 70s series. All in all, a recipe for confusion. In any case, I'll watch the first DVD and see what it has to offer. So the first DVD opens with an episode about history homework. It's about plagiarism and that you shouldn't do that. Always be fair when you're making your schoolwork.
Gezegd heb, 2 verslagen staken boven alles uit. Om te beginnen dat van Calimero en Priscilla. Zij hebben niet alleen de geschiedenis van ons dorp verteld, maar ook de geschiedenis van hun familie. En verder het werk van Pieter, heel erg origineel. Ja, ik houd echt van zijn stijl en zijn commentaar. Vooral omdat het van mij is.
Hé, maar ik heb alles uit een boek gehaald, meester Uil.
Weet ik. Dat boek heet Geschiedenis van een klein dorp. Dat schreef ik zelf 5 jaar geleden.
Then there's one about babysitting, in which they're terrorizing their teacher, a small child is assaulting our favorite chick, Calimero, and people act like dicks in a sports game, which is pretty accurate.
Nou, de scheidsrechter moet eerlijk zijn. Hoe is het mogelijk? Als Pieter gooit is het altijd goed en als ik gooi is het altijd fout.
Priscilla, je mag een scheidsrechter niet tegenspreken. Dat is niks voor een dame.
Jullie tweeën hebben afgesproken om vals te spelen.
hier komt mijn antwoord. Geweldig! De slag van de eeuw.
Ja, maar wel jammer dat die bal zo verkeerd terechtkomt.
Hè? Wat zeg je?
Lopen, probeer hem te vangen.
Oh nee, hij komt naar beneden. Recht op de meester. Oh jeetje. Wegwezen, naar binnen. Allemaal gauw de klas in.
Mama, slaap, papa.
Nee, kindje, nog niet. Maar ik geloof wel dat hij slaap krijgt.
Heb je toch slaappillen gekocht?
Nee, ik heb hem verteld hoe je in slaap kunt komen.
Oh ja, hoe dan, mama?
Ik zal het je uitleggen. Je moet je een paar schapen voorstellen.
Schapen? Waarom schapen?
Nou, je gaat die schaapjes tellen. 1, 2, 3, 4 en terwijl je telt val je in slaap. En voordat je bij de 100 bent, slaap je.
Echt waar, mama? Kan je zo in slaap vallen?
Ja, mijn kind, het werkt bijna altijd.
72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81.
Zou het echt lukken met papa? Ik ben zo benieuwd. Nou, laat ik het ook eens proberen. Dus eerst moet ik aan schapen denken. Hé, wat is nou ook weer het verschil tussen schapen en geiten? Of zijn ze hetzelfde? Nee, ik weet niet waar ik nou aan moet denken. Schapen of geiten, geiten of schapen.
Calimero, Calimero, opstaan, goeiemorgen. Oh. Wat is hier gebeurd, Calimero?
Nou, ik wist niet meer hoe schapen eruit zagen. En toen ben ik in mijn schoolboeken gaan zoeken naar schapen. En toen was ik nog wakker en toen kon ik niet slapen. En toen dacht ik ga schaapjes tellen. Maar toen wist ik niet hoe ze eruit zagen, mama. En toen heb ik tekeningen gemaakt op de muur en op de vloer. En toen telde ik tot 10. En verder ging ik door tot 100. En ik viel maar niet in slaap. En nou is het ineens morgen.
Maar kindje, heb je de hele nacht niet geslapen?
Then there's one where Calimero is sorry for something. I watched the episode and the only thing I could think about was how cute it was the way that Calimero went downstairs. So basically, he breaks his father's glasses and his dad almost dies multiple times by falling off, I think, the same stairs every time. Yeah, and he starts believing he'll be disowned because he broke his father's glasses, which ends up being a gross... Well, he blows everything out of proportion in this episode. And there's one about an argument with a friend of his, Priscilla. He's really, really bad at math, which reminds me of myself at that time, when I was that age. These two have a face down and they can't talk anymore because of the argument. And that means literally they can't talk anymore, so they have to kind of mime their way through a conversation, which is hilarious.
Als je rekent vanaf de maand dat ik geboren ben, dan ben ik ouder dan jij, hoor, Priscilla. Hé, Calimero, hoe kom je erbij? Ik ben veel ouder, hoor. Nee, dat is niet waar, want ik ben in augustus geboren en jij in juni. En dat betekent dat ik dus 2 maanden meer heb. Nee, zo moet je niet tellen, suffert. Ik werd in juni geboren en 2 maanden later in augustus werd jij geboren. Dus dat betekent dat ik 2 maanden ouder ben, Calimero. Oh, augustus en jij in juni. Je maakt het veel te moeilijk, zo kom je er nooit uit. Jeetje, wat ben jij dom, zeg. Nou, hou je mond, je bent niet eerlijk.
Ga jij eens even naar Calimero's huis en leen wat peper als je wilt. En opschieten, hè?
Wat? Naar Calimero's huis?
Ja, schiet nou alsjeblieft een beetje op, want anders brandt de spaghetti aan. Maak een beetje voort, Priscilla. Ja, oh. Ja.
Oh, ik kan gewoon niet meer met Calimero praten, omdat we geen vriendjes meer zijn. Cali... Ja. Het is een Priscilla.
Wat doet Priscilla toch? Ze mag wel een beetje opschieten.
Oh, wat vervelend is dat nou voor je vader. Ik hoor dat hij kou heeft gevat. Ik weet zeker dat dit drankje hem heel goed zal doen. Ben voorzichtig hoor.
Calimero, stamme draf. Hè? Is dat je bent? Ook een noodhoelenwap. Auw! Auw!
So far, it's putting a stupid smile on my face, simply because this kind of series is rare, and there's few who manage to capture this kind of innocence and be this stupidly funny at the same time. After watching the first DVD, what do I think? Well, I think it's incredible. I hadn't seen Calimero for a long time, so I was surprised to see how weirdly well it holds up today. I had some genuine laughs and enjoyed it throughout. Now, what did I think aside from that? I'd agree to the notion that Calimero's character is whiny, but I think this trait has its upsides. I personally was quickly overwhelmed as a kid. I broke into tears easily as a result. I think for Calimero the reason is much the same. When he feels like he's getting into a bad situation, he blows it out of proportion and starts avoiding the situation. But when it really comes down to it, he'll be there for others. And while he feels he's been done an injustice, he whines, but in the end, keeps taking it without doing the same to others, or otherwise takes the lesson if he did. He means well, but he's not perfect and messes up. Whenever he tries to fix something, it's likely he'll make the situation even worse, and this imperfection is why the character works. It's why his signature line works, and it's a big contributor as to why the series works. The side characters are handled decently well, though I think there's room for improvement there. His classmates mess with him regularly, but Calimero still considers them friends in some way, even if they do or say things that hurt him, making for an interesting and all too familiar dynamic. His relationship with his parents illustrates his vulnerability more, and his attempting to please other adult characters, like teachers in the series, is very much in line with his character. The point of critique here is that the side characters are mostly here as a vessel to levitate Calimero's character, and that doesn't leave a lot to be learned about his classmates, teachers, or other characters, save for maybe Priscilla. As for the animation, it's not amazing, but not outstanding when talking about quality. I do think it stands out today, and I greatly appreciate it for what it is. All in all, I consider 1974's Calimero to be super enjoyable. I'd give it a 7 out of 10, looking strictly at quality. Its animation and side characters could use some work, but the character of Calimero is great in my opinion. It holds on to its unique charm to this day, and the topics considered in the episodes work decently well in more recent times. Overall, pretty good, but my personal opinion, this is an 8.5 out of 10. At least. It's not perfect, and I have some gripes. I mean, it's not a 10 out of 10, but it was super enjoyable nonetheless, and it drove me to make this video. Calimero will always have a special place in my heart. I think the franchise is absolutely adorable, and I'll enjoy it for a long time to come. So, rounding up, Calimero is a very interesting case when it comes to animated series that I've seen as a kid. The franchise is all over the place. 1970, 1974, 1992, 2014, and even 1963. It makes the topic of Calimero endlessly interesting. From his origin as a commercial mascot to having his own series present in all parts of the world, and from the lost content to production history, it's a very interesting case to be talking about. I thank you for watching, and if you know anything about the series that I don't, comment. So again, thanks for watching.